This is the Dave and Shecky Show. We got this groovy podcast for ya. Reviewing crazy tunes or quoting Twain and Sting and Dune. We'll bring ideas to share like bonus points for extra flair, cause it's the frickin' Dave and Shecky Show. This is the Dave and Shecky Show. We're bringing you this groovy review. We might preview movies, bake some bread, or drink some smoothies. So come on, have way too much caffeine. You roll up some reefers, I'll reference some Raffy. This is the Dave and Shecky Show.
Room Tone.
No, we did Room Tone.
That was the name of the band before First House.
It was not.
Room Tone. The Room Tone Players.
It was not.
The mighty Room Tone Players.
Okay.
We were a ska band from Room Tone, Ohio.
There is no Room Tone, Ohio. I am willing to bet. And
Roomington.
Roomington?
Wilmington.
Okay.
That's what it was. It was the Wilmington, Ohio Players.
Okay.
We had congregated in Wilmington in the late 80s.
Oh.
No. The band was called Zebrahead, okay? That is a true story.
Well, wait a second.
One of the first names for the band was Zebrahead, okay? Named after the movie.
Okay.
A white guy who was into black culture. Zebrahead. That went over like a lead balloon. Then we had the idea that it was going to be Fresh Step.
Okay, can we just
named after the cat litter that was in the apartment we were hanging out in. Dave Swanson's apartment, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, Dave Swanson. I knew Dave Swanson peripherally. But can we just hold up 1 second? Welcome, everybody. This is the Middle-Aged Cool Kids podcast featuring your pals, Dave and Shecky. I'm Shecky.
I'm the leader of Fresh Step.
And this is a podcast about Dave's band,
Zebrahead.
First House. It's all about First House. So out of the gate, he was very excited to start talking, so we didn't even get a chance to say anything about the show. But now we can continue on. Fresh Step and Dave Swanson.
Who are those people? Never heard of them.
Dave Swanson was the sound guy for Blues Traveler. Is that correct?
Yes, him and Rich Vink.
Vink. And he had he had cats.
I think why is this? What was occurring here?
Were you? Let me guess.
Hanging out there? Was Pete living there? I'm not sure now. One or the other. Somehow we were at Dave Swanson's house, and
were you guys high?
No, you're not high. We don't do that kind of stuff.
You didn't do that stuff in the 90s. You didn't get high and then stare around the room and find a Fresh Step box and say, "Oh my God, man, Fresh Step," and then giggle for about an hour.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember.
Okay. Okay, well, in my head, I that seems pretty plausible. And why? How long was Fresh Step? How long was Zebrahead?
Fresh Step wasn't more than a moment's thought.
What? Okay, and what about Zebrahead? Did you?
Zebrahead, I think we were considering for a few minutes.
Did you go?
We may have even played a gig as Zebrahead. I can't remember, but I do remember everyone who heard the name couldn't stand it instantly. So we got rid of it right away.
Okay, and who was in Zebrahead? Let's just backtrack even more.
Oh, Zebrahead.
Uh-huh.
This one, myself.
Yes.
Pete,
yes.
Pavel. And Neil Spitzer.
Okay. Neil Spitzer is someone I don't know of. Who did he play like keyboards or something?
It was like keyboards, but he put it in his mouth because it was a saxophone.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right, let's
Neil played tenor. Neil played tenor.
Okay.
Great, very good player.
All right. Can we just? Okay.
Yes, but what?
I would like to. This is great. You have all of this information, But let's just start.
Yeah,
Okay.
And Dylan was writing lyrics about me in 1967.
Okay, that's not true. About anybody.
Am I Eugene Levy or something? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember half the things I was doing back then.
Okay, Dave. What year did you get together with Pete?
Well, I'll tell you.
Yes?
Pete and I collaborated for the first time, I would say, the band, I will tell you this.
All right.
We rehearsed the band for the first time in October of 92.
October of 92.
That is a damn fact.
How did you know Pete?
Pete I met through Dave Hamburger, because Dave was in Kindred Spirit.
Oh, he was? I didn't know that. Okay.
Dave was the bass player for Kindred.
Did you meet Dave Hamburger in the Dreyer Brothers? Did you know him from just NYU?
Hamburger?
Yeah.
Hamburger and I went to high school together.
Okay. Excellent.
Hamburger's a high school guy.
All right.
Upper West Side guy, I mean. He's a high school guy.
What high school was that
doesn't
again?
sound very good. What?
It was Walton?
He went to Walden.
Walden, okay.
Yeah, Walden. Anyway, then Kindred Spirit and the Dreyer Brothers did a double gig down at Sun Mountain Cafe on 3rd Street. And we did double drums. And that's the first time we played together, I believe.
Who was the other drummer?
Neil Nunziato.
Oh, nice Italian.
Neil Nunziato was not pleased with the outcome of the of the events that evening. Pete and I were thrilled. And when Neil Nunziato was Kindred Spirit's drummer. So when Pete said to Neil, "Man, that was amazing, right? We should do that again."
Uh-oh.
Neil said, "That was horrible. We should never do that again." And I was, of course, into doing it because Pete was a much better guitar player than what I had been dealing with in the Dreyer Brothers.
Uh-huh.
And I was dying in the Dreyer Brothers in a certain way. So then when Pete and I got together, it was way more in line of what I wanted to do. And I'll tell you another thing about the start of the band.
All right.
That many people don't know.
All right.
We could have been called a Betty Davis cover band.
All right.
Because the first times we played, we had 1, 2, 3, I think 4 Betty Davis songs that we were doing. Now, the interesting thing about Betty Davis, first of all, is she was married to Miles Davis. Her drummer on those recordings is Mike Clark, who I was studying with at the time.
Ah, okay. So that's how you knew those songs?
No, I didn't know those songs. It's just a coincidence.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think Pete knew it was Mike Clark.
Okay.
Yeah, just another strange coincidence. And it's Mike Clark, Neil Sean, Doug Roush, Doug Rodriguez.
Oh, okay. That is a weird coincidence.
Very strange little coincidence there. And Buddy Miles also playing bass and or guitar. And that's what that shit is. But somehow Pete was really into Betty Davis. And at the time, I had not really even heard of her. But he gave us a cassette with I'm Different, Anything, and Your Mama Wants You Back. And we did all 3 of those. And we recorded our own versions of Anything. Anything was amazing because we took the Miles Davis intro from a Miles Davis song from Jack Johnson, tribute to Jack Johnson. We took that and linked that up with Anything, and then ended it with that. So we had Miles Davis into Anything into Miles Davis, which is cool because she was married to Miles Davis. Also, it was cool because the Miles thing was really what me and Pavel were into. Like, we were coming from a fusion thing. Pavel also liked heavy metal, but we were coming from like this fusion thing, like playing on the street, fusion. Also Kenji, fusion. That's why Kenji and Pavel could hear everything, because they were pretty superior players.
So you got together with Pete, and how did Pavel get into the mix?
Pavel was, I was playing bass with Pavel on the street with Rod Cohn.
Ah.
Rod Cohn introduced me to Pavel because Kenji and Rod got into a fist fight. So we couldn't play with Kenji anymore.
Oh, so you played with Kenji before First House?
Yeah, Kenji and I also went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
It all goes back to Walden.
Amazing. Okay.
Kenji was in junior high when I was in 9th grade.
Okay,
so
yeah.
we went to Walden together for 1 year.
Gotcha.
And then he went to music and art or one of those highfalutin schools.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, he wanted to live forever.
Don't we all? So,
well, fame, you know what I'm saying?
yes, I think we all got it.
So, yeah, he went to that school. So we had been working, Pavel and I had been working with Rod on the street. And then I was also playing with the Dryer Brothers at the same time in the clubs.
Uh-huh.
And going on tour and all that shit. And then Pete approached me in the lounge at Wetlands.
Downstairs?
Yeah, the downstairs lounge at Wetlands, and he said, "You want to start a band?"
Wow.
It was just like that. And I said, "Yeah." And then from that point on, we started hanging out. We needed a bass player, so I got Pavel, because Pavel was an excellent bass player. And Rod was really good, but he was more of like a cover material guy. He would do like cover versions of songs, instrumental cover versions. But Pete was more writing original stuff, and so we kind of drifted over to Pete. It was a little bit more Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish, blues-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that pissed Rod off a little bit.
Oh.
Probably. But anyway, that's how we got Pavel.
This is an old song. This is an old Kindred Spirit song, as a matter of fact. And I dedicate this one to those fellas.
Pete wanted saxophone in the band, I guess. When he's first part of the vision, he must have had saxophone. And Neil even wrote part of one of our first tunes that we did. And I remember a gig we did at Wetlands with Neil that was particularly good. Problem with Neil was Neil would jam along with Pavel and Pete tuning.
Why is that a problem?
Because they're trying to tune, and he thinks it's an amazing jam.
That's adorable, actually.
You know, they're getting they're tuning into an A, and he's, hitting some fucking harmonies, and he's doing a raga over there, and they're just tuning.
Neil was an enthusiastic member, I see.
Pavel said, "Listen, fucking guys, this fucking saxophone is bullshit. You either fucking get rid of him, or I'm fucking leaving the band.
Oh, shit.
Fuck this saxophone. I hate saxophone." So, we got rid of Neil. But, he was right. It was absurd. It was too much.
It was too much.
Yeah, how much he was good, but it was just a little odd.
He was good and he was enthusiastic, but it wasn't a good mix.
It was odd. But he was a good player, very good player. Pavel also made us go to Chicago by bus, or he was going to quit the band.
Why?
I don't know. Because we had a gig, I guess, there, and he also had friends there, and I don't remember exactly, but Pavel was very determined.
Good for him. It's worked out well for him.
He had come from another country. He came from Poland, and he wasn't fucking around. He came to the United States to fucking make it, and he didn't want to get bogged down with bullshit.
Well, there you go.
Pavel is the only one who made it in the music industry.
That's not true.
Thus far.
Kenji also.
But I'm saying, look, it's no the fact of the matter is we had two of the best bass players in New York City ever. You can't deny Pavel and Kenji's skills.
I would say even beyond New York City, since they both are fairly international at this point.
Yeah, Pavel is a fucking genius, and so is Kenji. So whatever. But Pavel would throw his bass down and leave rehearsal if he thought we were like fucking off too much. And he was probably right.
Yeah, I would say yes.
I totally regret that Pavel left the band. We had more of a band when we had Pavel.
Right.
It was more, we actually rehearsed and we were like...
More like a brotherly thing?
It was just more of a functional, like, operating band.
Gotcha.
It was like a real thing.
I was listening to Don't Really Care with Pavel, and the bass line was amazing.
That's the one, too. That's the shit. Pavel had 16th notes up the ass. That guy could play his ass off, is what I'm saying. We recorded that one at Loho. And two things about that recording I recall. One was, I'm listening back to the playback, and the rhythm track, just the drums and the bass, sounded like a fucking 18-wheeler flying down a like windy road. Like, that's the only way I could describe it. There was some sort of power there that I was like, it was me, but it was really Pavel. Pavel is like, he's the ultimate rock bass player. It's this European thing that I don't even know how to explain it. He's a European monster, like Alan Holdsworth or something, who's a guitar player. But so the other thing about Don't Really Care was Pete uses a Rotovibe pedal, which sort of emulates a Leslie. And I remember him overdubbing the guitar, and I was right next to the amplifier, and the thing was just warbling, and when he was playing, it was just creating this movement of sound that was kind of like almost making you pass out type of thing. And that's the amazing thing about Pete, is he has the power to make you almost pass out when you play. And only other person I ever saw do that was Stevie Ray Vaughan. When Kenji got in the band, we became way funkier, and we decided that we didn't need to rehearse anymore.
Check this out right here. I want to introduce the band in a very formal way. I never do it like this. Please give it up for my brothers. On the bass, we have a gentleman from Japan. Give it up for my man, Kenji Hino. On the drums, one of my very best friends, somebody I love, a legend in people, a legend in friends. Give it up for David Schlossberg on the drums. My name is Peter Malcolm Kovacevic. We are the First House. Thank you. So what's up?
Like, we were going more in a hard rock direction. And that's the direction we were going before we got with Kenji. And then we got more funky. And coinciding with the funky became this gangster rap shit that we started doing. So, because I was so into P-Funk, and Pete was so into Ice Cube and rap, and they were using, all they sampled was P-Funk. And Kenji was way into P-Funk. You know, so basically we just became like a P-Funk, Chili Peppers kind of thing almost.
Mm.
And that was like our downfall. Like that and reggae.
There was a little period of time when I had absolutely and authentically lost my mind. A combination of
Wild turkey of any sort.
too much gangster rap and too much alcohol. But I thought I would present it as it really happened, and this is it. This song somehow is a combination of about 3 or 4 songs, but is somehow yet none of them. It's extraordinary, horrible, and amazing all at the same time. Check it out.
I just wanna hit the reason got to get around. Because I got to get that fucking sound. We gotta get crazy before we go inside. Yeah, baby, that's the only way. Come on with somebody. 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 Don't you give me love? Don't tell your heart. Don't you tell me lies? Yeah. Can't you tell that I'm the one? I'm the only one. The only one. I'm the only one that wants you like you wanna.
That's why I regret Pavel leaving the band. Even though Kenji's so amazing, and that we were probably better with Kenji, and he was in the band 5 times as long as Pavel.
There was a clearer direction.
It was just more of an original sound. We had an original hard rock trio sound. And in my mind, that's why we were better than Greta Van Fleet. Because musically, we're as good or better. And we don't sound like some other bullshit. We're not just imitating something. You know what Hendrix sounded like? He didn't sound like anything. He sounded like fucking Hendrix. And we didn't sound like anything but us. And I can guarantee you that. If you listen to those demos, no one really sounded like. We had influences that were implying. But that was an original sound. And when you start just playing We Want the Funk and, you know, rapping over it, well, then you're no longer an original sounding band. And we digressed at that point. That's what happened.
Check it. I never had no fucking money to do what I wanted to do. So I cried in the alphabet, kicking back in my bedroom, wishing I was something better than I was. But now that I got what I need, I always think back to the times when I was a little crazy, mixing it up with all types of flavors. Yeah, oh baby, time to savor. I was never ever as good as I am now, and I'm just getting better. And if I stay true to the motherfucking game, yeah, then I know what I'll be clever enough to compete in this motherfucking industry with my shit that I be kicking premium, yeah, cause I'm gangsta beat, kicking it with the first half behind me. I kick a fresh rhyme.
We started out on something and we diverted. We diverted because it was easier, honestly. And we diverted because the crowd called for it. We rehearse the shit out of stuff. You play it, and the crowd looks at you like you don't exist. It goes right over their head. Your arrangements go right over the crowd's head, and then you just play a funk groove, and everyone's fucking loving it. So, what are you supposed to do? It's almost like selling out. But it's not a bad sellout, because it's funk, you know? I mean, it's cool. You could still jam the fuck out over it. There was great moments. But it's all improv. It's all on the spot. Maybe that was the brilliance. I don't know. There should have been some balance, though. I mean, just to stop rehearsing. I don't know. I stopped booking gigs after a while. It just got to the point where it was like no one was trying. That's the unfortunate truth. But, like I said, it was still fun. It was still great. And there were moments that were brilliant. Brilliant moments. I'm not denying that it was great.
You're right. The crowd loved it.
The crowd did love it, and at the time it was fucking fun. And if you listen to some of those tapes, you know, some of the third sets, because the third sets were always just the rap set.
Mm-hmm.
The third sets were good. You know, there were some great playing. There's some moments on there that are like, you know, great. But once again, they're just made up shit on the spot. But no one really cared about rock and roll at that time. Like, hard rock was like not in.
No.
Like, funk was big time in. Like, you know, Chili Peppers just came out with Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic, or whatever the fuck that is. Give It Away Now and Suck My Kiss, all that shit was like, that's all you heard on the fucking rock stations. That's what rock was. Higher Ground. Chili Peppers was rock.
Right.
And then Nirvana, of course. And that ruined everything.
Well, for you, not for them.
No.
Well, yeah, actually for them too, right?
Well, it didn't work out too well for them either.
Hanging out with the First House. We got the record release party January 19th at Wetlands. Come down, but don't crash.
We recorded 3 demos with Pavel. Then we got Kenji in the band, and then we recorded that CD by the middle of '94. I think we recorded it over the summer and mastered it and finished it, and then it was out by like December or January. Some Live is pre-gangster rap influence. That song's amazing. If you listen to Kenji's bass playing on that tune, it's really good. That's all just Kenji hearing it and doing it. All the harmonies he's putting in and his stuff. But yeah, Kenji made it so we just never had to rehearse. He was so good we didn't have to rehearse. He absolutely could hear. He could hear everything. Because Kenji was coming from more of a jazz background, and his knowledge of chords and harmony was deep, and he could hear shit. So that we just rehearsed that a couple times, and I'm sure that just came to be. When we recorded it, that became the blueprint for the version that it always was.
Some live, some die. Well, by the good. And that's why I want to say to you, starlight, star bright, are you with me now? 7 hands that I want for you. But I wonder why I still cry every day without my pride there. You know I've been a guy that I can't protect.
Certain songs play themselves. That's the thing about good music. A good song will play itself. Like, you don't have to try too hard. That one's like a Stevie Ray tune, in my opinion. Freak was suggested to us by Cornelius, who was an artist friend of ours. That's a disco song. But we didn't like disco, so we only kind of played it sort of disco-y for the first half. And then the second half, we turned the tempo in half and made it more like a rock song, rock funk. Like, our version of that song is nothing at all like the original.
The rap in the middle is East Style. Somebody who was he always a friend of the band? Was he always around?
Yeah, East Style was always around. No, he wasn't always. Yeah, East Style was there from about 90. Yeah, he came in pretty early. Although I don't know if East Style ever saw Pavel in the band. Maybe he did. I don't think so. East Style, just one day when I saw him in the audience, and he was like this insanely like positive, charismatic kid who was just like in the front row, like really into the music and really like being positive. East Style was cool. He was funny, you know what I mean? Like,
Did he write that rap?
Yeah, he wrote that rap all himself.
Style kicking hype, I'm on the mic, see. I'm kicking lyrics with the first house behind me. I got a pit bull and I got a Roddy. Don't walk around cause I don't need a shotty. That's a gun and I don't carry one. I just rock up on the microphone when I'm having fun. I'm just flowing with the first house, getting rocks going. Tell them how it is, see. Get going. You can be my brother. Oh yeah. Unless you are my mother. You can be my brother.
Let's talk about New York Truck. For me, that was always my favorite. Like, if I thought you guys were going to have a hit, that was going to be the hit. Just the opening few notes are so, I don't know. I don't know if it's optimistic, so it just gives me a really good feeling.
When we first started, Pete was heavily influenced by Blues Traveler on one side. So there's a lot of like some of his stuff has that whole jam bandy kind of major 3-chord kind of thing. Another song he did with Kindred was called "Fool Yourself," and we played that as well. We might have even played that at the reunion show. I can't remember, but New York Truck was another one of those with that major chord kind of Bud Anyway type of feel almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's full on Traveler. The lyrics are not Pete's. That's like Pete's dad's friend or something wrote those lyrics.
I like it.
I don't look for trouble, but let me tell you about my day. I choose to live in New York, so you know I don't got much to say. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't shaking out of bed by a jackhammer in the street and a truck driving through my head. A New York truck.
April 5th, 1996. I just spent the last 2 hours going through this show, and I was cracking up the whole time. Makes you want to just bust out the turkey and roll a big fatty and listen to it, because you can tell absolutely how smashed we are and how much fun we're having. Funny enough, while I was listening to the tape, right off the bat, it starts with some people who are a little unhappy that we didn't start quite on time, and I thought, I'll just let everybody hear that. So here we go. First House, Nightingales, April 5th, 1996.
Now we have rollage. All right, Shelly. You got to talk. You got to center yourself. So you can go, watch, left, left, right, right, center, center, center.
I don't know much about this centering bullshit you're laying on me, quite frankly, but it's 1:25. As usual, the band is late, high, and a total disregard for their fans.
We love our fans, but we love ourselves more.
Which is why they are the first house as opposed to
Second house.
Second. Thank you.
The ninth floor to the left. All right, we're hanging up the mic now.
I loved Squish. Squish was a beloved fixture at the Gale with you guys. And he passed away under terrible circumstances.
And that was in October 97. Wow.
It was bad.
It was bad.
So, and then the band kind of just slowly drifted apart. And I remember...
Pete became a DJ.
Oh, that's right.
He became a DJ and got heavily into drum and bass. See, Pete Pete the Renaissance man was always changing.
Yes.
So,
He's sticking with the times. That's why he
No,
knows
it's
Post
all- it's
Malone is a
cool.
white guy.
it's all good. But everything happened. Pete got into this and that. He was into reggae and drum and bass. And, the whole thing was self-destructing. Quite honestly, I'm the only motherfucker who stabilized the whole thing.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Shit. I was right there, watching the whole thing fucking go up in flames. And then, on top of that, the whole fucking world blows up with 9/11. Everything happened at once.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, everything changed. So it's all,
Yeah.
everything was happening. You know what didn't happen? We didn't get a goddamn record contract.
But
We
this
didn't
is
get any tour support. We didn't get anything except gigs to the Gale. So how long could it go on? You're only as strong as the team around you. And, everyone who was involved with us was out of their fucking minds. Fucking crackheads.
Crack? You think it was crack?
Well, I know it was crack.
Oh, you do?
I know that half of the people were doing crack, but, it's fucking they're out of their minds. Have some control. Smoke weed only. Then you'll be all right.
I like to think of myself as a dying breed, 'cause I smoke every day and still remember along the way. And I try to do my best to put myself aside, 'cause I don't want to break and try to break down every little bit of pain.
We had some first house periphery and family deaths. Squisher passed away. East Isle passed away. Tom passed away. The other Tom passed away. What do you, when we're getting older, how do you feel when you realize that those guys passed way, way before their time?
I don't know. What can you say? I'm not sure what to say about that. I don't know. You gotta control yourself a little bit. Each generation gets more ridiculous. You can't just live like you're Jimi Hendrix. Hendrix died at 27 for a reason. I don't know. I always had a little control. I never did the hard drugs. The hard drugs are a problem. That and cigarettes. So it's just I feel sad about it, but at the same time, I gotta be strong about it. So I gotta get tough, and then I just, think there's,
You get angry.
You gotta control yourself. Have some restraint, and you'll survive. Or you don't survive because you're a fucking maniac. It's bad. That's, the drugs is what does these people in. Drinking and drugs. The reason Nightingales doesn't exist is because of cocaine. The reason all these people don't exist is because of cocaine. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Control yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I could cry and I'm sad. It's the times I'm sad. But, you gotta fucking learn. Learn from Jimi Hendrix. Don't repeat his actions.
But I couldn't try any harder without losing my very last breath, because I never win, I never lose, I never try too hard, but I guess there's a meaning there.
So, clearly, you're a little angry about some of the stuff that happened back then, but obviously it was fun. You wouldn't have done it for 6 years if it wasn't fun.
I'm not angry. I'm just, I see other bands that are, more successful. And I feel like we should have gotten a little further, that's all.
I agree.
That's my main thing. The music was amazing. The playing was great. It was excellent. I haven't been in a band since then that's as good. Definitely amazing. I'm not angry about it. Just if I appear angry, it's because some of that shit is, put a lot of energy into it. you want to return. That's all.
Yeah, I mean I had fun. I had the most fun in my life ever on a Friday with my ass next to that pole. Not that kind of pole.
He was out of the band by that time, I thought.
No, but next to the pole, standing with my friend Squish, and just dancing our asses off and laughing. And so when I heard that there was going to be a reunion of sorts, I got really excited for you. How did you feel?
I'm happy, very into it. We were, we've been wanting to have a reunion for a while, but we just weren't able to make it happen for various reasons.
So Pete flew all the way across country to be at this gig.
Yes, I believe he had some other business issues in town as well.
I think he just said that.
I know that he, yes, well, there's some other shit going on too, but yeah,
okay.
Right, yeah.
So our friend Max McKee.
I needed a bass player. That was the thing. See, we wanted to have a reunion, but both the bass players are in Neverland now. One's in Japan and one is constantly touring the world.
With the Scorpions.
They've been on a farewell tour for the past 5 years, literally. So, anyway, yeah, so both of our bass players were kind of out of the question. They both had been, they're just busy, very busy. And definitely needed a bass player that I had a common ground with, someone who I could relate to. And so I called on my buddy Max from Turnip Stampede, the legendary upstate jam band that we started in the 2000s.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, so we got Max, and then of course we needed to round that out, so we called on Pete Levin for keyboards.
Keyboard extraordinaire.
Pete Levin used to play with us back in the day. He sat in with us a few times here and there he sat in with us at Nightingales and maybe Wetlands, I can't remember. But he was part of that whole scene back then. He played keyboards for God Street Wine, and Pete Levin was the keyboard player for Greg Allman Band, and he plays with, Pete also plays with Blind Boys of Alabama. And he also plays with Devin Allman, who is Greg Allman's son. And he's constantly playing with other people. He's insanely busy. The night we played at Joe's, he canceled the gig that he had with Jason Newsted from Metallica so he could do our gig.
He was really excited about this gig.
And he had his whole keyboard trucked in, and it was a whole thing.
And
Getting the keyboard on that stage was insane. They were not expecting a Hammond organ with a big Leslie speaker. I was just like, you should have seen the sound check, trying to figure out where to put it.
Did you see a lot of the familiar faces from the Gale way back when?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of people there from the old days. Some of them a little less recognizable. But yeah, there was a lot of people there, a lot of people from my old high school, that whole scene. Definitely a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. It was cool. It was good. The music was good. We played well. Pete sounded really good. Joe's is a really nice place. Shrive hooked that up. And yeah, that was good. I want to do more. I'd like to be doing more all the time, but we don't have it together right now.
Yeah, I mean
geographically, it's a little hard.
Though there are talks, right?
Yes, always talk. But talk is cheap.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, and even debuted a few new songs.
Yeah, Pete's got new songs. We got a few new ones. He had a bunch of new ones, but we had to limit. We only had a certain amount of time. I mean, we barely had an hour.
I thought the gig was great. They streamed it live on YouTube as it happened, so I was watching from here, the headquarters.
Yeah, Joe's is good. Joe's has really good sound. Nice. That's a good place to play. I'm glad we were able to do it at a nice place as opposed to like at a dive. The only regret I have is I wish we could have played a couple of sets and played longer.
Next time.
We were really, tight on time. The only way we could have gone around that was we could have played at a lesser club. And then we could have played like at a bar all night. But that didn't seem as classy. I mean, Joe's Pub is like one of the nicer places to play, so that seemed like the way to go. I'd like to, play once a month or something.
Well, we gotta.
I just don't, we don't live on the same coast.
Not even the same coast.
So far, I've met so many people running from themselves, but they can't run away. And so far, I've done so many things to run from myself, but I can't run away. But I tried all but just being myself once again.
Well, it's been an awesome experience. I've learned some things about First House that I didn't already know, and here I thought I knew almost everything. Really one of the best bands to see in New York City in the 90s was First House. And the fact that there was a reunion was great. Maybe we can get a reunion with all of the players next time.
I think the name of the band comes from Midsummer's Night Dream, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought you said you...
I came up with the name,
okay.
but I took it from a Shakespeare book, and I think it was Midsummer's Night's Dream.
And it's
I called Pete at like 2 in the morning. I was like, how about First House? And he was like, yeah, I like it. That's what we're doing.
And was it a narrow victory over Fresh Step, or was it...
Once I came up with that name, it clicked.
It was a decisive
It
victory.
was a reference to astrology in a Shakespeare book.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It was either that or Zebrahead.
Yeah, we already discussed that. Want to send a shout out to Pete for being kind enough to send in some audio for this very special episode of the Middle Aged Cool Kids podcast. And I also want to thank Mr. Randy for sending in some audio for the podcast. We appreciate your contributions now and forever. If you want to listen to more of our podcasts, you can check us out at middleagedcoolkids.com. We have all of our Middle Aged Cool Kids podcasts, and we also have a link to our old Dave and Shecky podcast there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, and Google Play. You can also follow us, well, me really, on Twitter at Middle Aged Cool. We will see you next time, America.
The whole experience was wild. I mean, you wait for the band to come back when the band is set up, boom, then the thing starts, and now, we got another 4 hours, whatever, 3 or 4 hours to probably just try. What's fortunate is we tried to inhale and ingest as many chemicals as we could so other kids would not get into them. We figured if we took it out of the way, other people wouldn't get hurt. So that's why I didn't like drugs. It just didn't even really get to them for the kids. The kids didn't get to them. Nonetheless, they had to show up. The band would start. And man, you never knew what a time you had to wake up in the morning and go, what the hell happened last night? And I don't know, but it's next week already, time to do it again. All right, peace.
Thank you for the first house. Stay cool, stay cool. Always remember to stay cool.